In just 3.5 years, Rhode has made itself one of the biggest names in skincare. People can't stop talking about it. I can't stop talking about it. The brand went from launching with just 3 products back in the day, a soft grey aesthetic and a promise of glazed skin, to sales revenue in the hundreds of millions and a valuation of $1 billion in less than 3 years. That's crazy. But what is the secret behind Rhode's success? How did what could have been just another name in a long list of failed celebrity skincare brands become a cultural phenomenon almost that is taking over the world of skincare with just a handful of products? Okay, first of all, I want to make it clear that I'm not a massive Hailey Bieber fan. Not because I dislike her, I'm just not into celebrity culture. I'm just not a fan. I always say this because I feel like whenever I talk positively about a brand or negatively, people always think it's due to my opinion on the celebrity. It's not. I just don't care about celebrity culture, and it isn't aimed specifically at Hailey Bieber. I don't care. But whatever you or I think of her as a person or as a celebrity, it can't be denied that her brand is one of the most successful celebrity skincare brands of all time. There are some celebrity beauty brands that are definitely more successful at the moment, of course, for likes of Fenty Beauty, Rare Beauty, and even Kylie Cosmetics. Remember her? But these are all much better known for their makeup products rather than skincare. Not many skincare-focused celebrity brands come to mind that would compete with Rhode's skin success, like at all, and actually none. And even if there were, Rhode's rapid rise would still set them apart. It's crazy to think that the brand has only been around for 3 years, 3.5 years, if you think about it. It's a lot. And honestly, right from the start, it looked like Rhode was going to be a success. I feel like when they launched back in June of 2022 with that very, very limited range, we all kind of knew something was a little bit different about this brand. They reached $10 million in sales after just 6 months, as well as accumulating huge wait lists of people desperate to get their hands on what Rhode was offering. Their products also won multiple awards early on in the brand's history, and by the end of the first year in business, they made an estimated $16 million. I have to be honest, I'm very skeptical when it comes to product awards. I always think there's a little bit of money and favoritism involved, especially when it comes to editors wanting favors from brands or wanting free product. And after a few more pretty successful product launches, it was reported that the brand was expected to make over 100 million for the first time in 2024, which is incredible growth. And then things just got even better for Rhode from there. Reports for their financial year ending in March of 2025 showed the brand had more than doubled their previous best, recording annual revenue of $212 million. The speed at which Rhode grew was impressive for any brand, whether it had been a celebrity face or not. Within less than 3 years, Rhode had gone from nothing to making hundreds of millions a year and becoming one of the most talked about skincare products around. So how exactly did they do it? Well, I feel like there were obviously a lot of factors, right? But one of the key ones for me is that Hailey Bieber and her team decided to take a minimalist approach with the brand's initial lineup. When the brand first launched, they did so with just 3 products. Remember the Peptide Lip Treatment, the Peptide Glazing Fluid, and the Barrier Restore Cream. These products were very simple to use, easy to understand, and they focused on the basics behind achieving Hailey Bieber's signature glazed look. And they also led with this like peptide thing, which I think people thought was quite innovative at the time. It wasn't really, but you know, people were like, oh, peptides. They decided to stick with that. And it really wasn't promoting some big complicated routine with a dozen products that you had to use all together. It was streamlined. It didn't felt like you were being sold anything unnecessary. It's kind of just what you needed to get the results you wanted. A peptide lip treatment hydrated your lips. Great. Smoothing fine lines and apparently plumping your lips over time. I mean, it wasn't anything mind-blowing, but it was probably an improvement on similar products that already existed in the market, which made them really popular with many consumers. It is my favorite product to come out of Rhode. The Peptide Glazing Fluid was similar to the lip treatment, but for the rest of the face. It was also super hydrating. It's supposed to smooth out fine lines, plump skin over time, and of course, give that glazed look that Hailey Bieber is known for. Peptides are going to do that, right? The Barrier Cream was good, not necessarily groundbreaking, I remember. It was a nice moisturizer that focused on hydration, strengthening the skin barrier, including ingredients like niacinamide, shea butter, and peptides, of course. Nothing groundbreaking, but also maybe that was good because it meant that everyone could use these and buy them. But I do feel the products were aimed at 2 main groups. Millennials who love that dewy, clean girl aesthetic that Glossier had popularized in the mid-2010s, but wanted something new now that Glossier were trying to like win over Gen Z. And the other audience is that younger Gen Z group who most of them were just starting to get into skincare in a more deliberate way and who wanted a brand that made it easier for them to get started on their skincare journey, and also ones who just wanted to buy skincare because it was trendy on TikTok. Whether they intentionally targeted them or not, I don't think they did. And the focus on the inclusion of peptides in the initial lineup, as I mentioned, was also a simple way to differentiate Rhode's products from their competitors without getting too complicated or too technical or too gimmicky. Peptides are by no means a new thing in skincare. Even back then, brands have been using them for decades, but Rhode made them one of the main focal points of their products. And like hyaluronic acid, like niacinamide, like PDRN, at the time, peptides was the highlighted ingredient that a lot of brands were starting to highlight on their packaging because people were becoming interested in it and they were like, Botox in a bottle, you know, all that shit. But this really did help give the product lineup a cohesive feel, as well as giving consumers an easy reason to choose Rhode's products over competitors. Even if the competitors' products also contain peptides anyway, it made Rhode's products sound special, even if they weren't all that different from what was already on the market. But as I mentioned, this also fit in well with trends in the skincare world. It came at a time when people were struggling to understand the importance of the skin barrier and wanted products that would help them repair or maintain their skin barrier. Hailey Bieber was also one of those people, so she wanted Rhode's products to support good skin barrier health. And peptides are good for that. They're good for your barrier, so it made sense to include them and highlight them and their barrier benefits. And they really have just continued with this minimalist approach with future product launches. Rhode hasn't just put out anything. They haven't overwhelmed their fans with an endless parade of increasingly unnecessary products or trendy, gimmicky ingredients. They've only put out a few new products fairly sporadically, actually, and kind of when they've had time to figure out what people actually want and needed to get the formulas right and build up anticipation too. And I feel like this is the reason Rhode's products are so well reviewed in general. They don't rush out products just hoping people will buy it because it's released, you know, regardless of how good it is. Even today, they only have 10 core products, if you don't count the different fragrances and shades and all that kind of stuff, which even then are pretty limited. That's a very small range compared to a lot of other beauty brands who are releasing more than this in the space of like 6 months, you know? Now, I said earlier that the products were like somewhat basic, right? And plenty of other brands were putting out similar products. But to be clear, I don't mean basic in a bad way. Like, they aren't the most cutting edge formulas in the world, but they work. They do what they say they're gonna do, which is more than you can say for a lot of celebrity skincare brands. The first 3 products in particular were also designed to work well together, which I think is another thing that made the lineup so popular right from the start. Like I said earlier, the initial products are meant to be the basics behind achieving Hailey Bieber's glazed donut look that so many people want to emulate, that she didn't really popularize, but she kind of took on because it was popular. The products did just that, you know? And that kind of brings me on to the next reason I think that Rhode has been so successful, and that is, of course, Hailey Bieber herself. Now, I don't want to imply that Rhode is only successful because Hailey Bieber is involved in the brand and she's famous. I don't think that. I think the products are good enough for the brand to stand on its own. But I do also think that Hailey Bieber's involvement in particular, rather than any other celebrity, has helped make Rhode as successful as it is. As I said, not the first celebrity to launch a beauty brand. In fact, she's one of the most recent ones to have done so successfully anyway. But we've had so many celebrity brands shoved in our faces over the last decade or two, and thankfully it's like calming down now. But I think a lot of us are tired of seeing launch after celebrity launch of half-assed cash grabs that don't feel genuine. But for a lot of people, including me, Rhode isn't seen in that way at all, and there's a good reason for that in my opinion. With most celebrity brands, it feels like it's just that they're just the face, right? They come in at the end, they put their name and face onto something and say, look at this, it's a thing I made, go buy it, I use it all the time, and they've not touched it. And a lot of the time, it doesn't even feel like the products have anything to do with the celebrity. Like Paris Hilton's cookware line, Ryan Reynolds' gin brand, Brad Pitt's skincare brand that he admitted he doesn't use. But Hailey Bieber's decision to launch a skincare line felt like it made perfect sense to fans of hers because she's shown a real interest in skincare for years beforehand. Well, before Rhode existed, it was probably in the works, but you know, it was probably part of the plan. But she had already started sharing her beauty routines online, first in videos for Vogue and Harper's Bazaar, and later through her own YouTube channel. She was already known for her signature glowy look at that point, and people wanted to copy it, as I mentioned. So from there, launching a skincare brand that sold products which would give you that signature look seemed like a very obvious move, but honestly, it genuine one at that. It didn't feel insincere, even though it could have easily been. Through her videos and social media posts sharing her skincare routine and her journey, she connected with a lot of people and proven her passion for skincare. I also think she targeted the right TikTokers at the right time, becoming mutuals with them, sending them lab samples and getting in their good books. But in a good way, she didn't pretend to be an expert. She was just honest about her experience with skincare and what she did to get her skin looking that way. She didn't come out with a dozen products to tell you what you needed, didn't want you to buy all of them. She just gave people what they already wanted, and people trusted her because it felt genuine. It felt like she really cared about these products, and I actually believe she uses them. Like, I believe she uses her own products. It also helped that she released a video titled The Making of Rhode around the same time as the brand launched. It showed the behind the scenes of how the brand came together, from how she first came up with the idea to the research she did into skincare, the involvement she actually had in the product development, why she wanted to include certain products in the line, branding decisions, creating marketing materials, pretty much everything. It was a stark contrast to almost every other celebrity skincare brand. It was undeniable that Hailey Bieber wasn't just the face of the brand. She played a big part in creating it. And she did the same thing a year later, a making of video showing behind the scenes of Rhode's first year, the issues they had, the changes they had to make. It showed people how Hailey Bieber was still involved in the brand and offered a level of transparency rarely seen from beauty brands. Until about 6 months ago, she had been updating her YouTube channel fairly regularly, doing get ready with me's, always using her actual products, talking about them casually, showing people how she uses them, and continuing to come across as genuine. It doesn't feel like a sales pitch, but just like her, talking honestly about her routine. What I will say though, if you are a brand founder and you use your products in your content, that piece of content is considered an advert. Make sure. But that to me is a big part of why Rhode has been so successful. Like, when other celebrity skincare brands have failed, or at least failed to reach the same heights, Hailey Bieber's apparent genuine love, I think obvious genuine love of skincare and the openness with the process involved in creating Rhode has lent a lot of credibility to the brand, like a level of credibility that most celebrity skincare brands lack. The last factor I think that has actually played a big role as anything else is that the way the brand has used social media to build up excitement around these products and how they've turned that excitement into near perfect product launches. Now, Rhode has used the brand's and Hailey Bieber's social media presence to punch well above their weight in the skincare industry. Compared to a lot of legacy brands, Rhode is still relatively small, if you can believe it or not, but you wouldn't think it if you were online. They seem to have taken over millions of people's feeds and are being talked about more than any other skincare brand. Reports have shown that Rhode was the #1 skincare brand in terms of earned media value in 2024. In case you haven't heard of that term before, earned media value, or EMV, is how brands and advertising agencies work out the value of unpaid promotional content, like organic social media posts and blog posts being talked about in YouTube videos, news coverage, articles, basically anything that gives the brand publicity or exposure without them paying. In 2024 alone, Rhode had an estimated EMV of $400 million. With that kind of publicity, you don't have to jump on trends. You don't have to create the trends yourself in order to sell your product. And that means that pretty much every time Rhode releases a product, it's guaranteed to go viral. And it is. Even their merch goes viral, like the lip case, the phone case that holds your Peptide Lip Treatment. Stupid, but genius at the same time. And it's apparently made Rhode over $30 million. How crazy is that? Like, that's not fitting in my pockets. Did I want it? Yes, I did. They also have that essence holder now that you can stick on a mirror. Why would you want just your essence stuck on a mirror? It's great though. I think it's such an interesting idea. If Rhode made bathroom cabinets, no furniture, I think I'd buy it. Part of what's made Rhode so dominant online is obviously down to the branding. A lot of people love the minimalist packaging, and anytime a beauty product looks good, people want to take pictures of it and post them online. This, combined with Hailey Bieber's existing popularity amongst millennials and especially Gen Z, has made TikTok and Instagram the most successful marketing channels for Rhode. But of course, Rhode is far from the only brand using influencers, from big names to micro to nano influencers to promote their products on social media. But Rhode's specific branding does this particularly well, and it's not just because of sleek, clean packaging. Rhode has also made their brand way more fun than so many other competitors. There have been so many like science-focused and dermatologist-approved skincare brands in recent years, and that isn't a bad thing. It's obviously led to loads of great effective products entering the market, but they aren't always the most fun or interesting or modern, if we're being honest. Sarah V. Rhode kind of came in at the perfect time, taking the scientific aspects of skincare and making them sound simple to the average consumer, adding in packaging that looks amazing and introducing some fun to it all with their product names and marketing images. We've got things like cinnamon roll, raspberry jelly, and toast, as well as marketing images of Rhode tiramisu, toast drizzled with honey, Hailey pouring milk on herself. There's even been collaborations with Krispy Kreme and e.l.f. There's a lot of food involved, I'm noticing just now. I'm not saying this is game changing in any way. It's been done a million times before, but it's a lot more interesting than what you get from most skincare brands, especially those ones that sit in the same affordable luxury and sciencey kind of category as Rhode. It means influencers are more likely to talk about Rhode organically because they like the product name or the marketing campaign, or they love Krispy Kreme. Now, it's obviously not all free marketing. A lot of influencers are gifted Rhode products in hopes that they'll talk about them, and Rhode actually offers affiliate commission to influencers as well. Do they keep saying they're gonna gift me stuff and never do? Yes, they do. I think they say So a popular thing in gifting product now is for you to fill in a form with your channel and your name, and they'll send it out. And I think they keep sending it to me, then they realize who I am. And they're like, oh, he's talked shit about our brand before, so we're not going to send it to him, which makes business sense, right? But even the influencers that are being gifted or paid to talk about Rhode are usually more than happy to do so. And I personally feel these sponsored ads, these gifted ads, whatever you want to call them, are just so much more authentic because they're actually excited about the products and you see them talking about it outside of that sponsored advert. And this in turn, leads to more of those organic posts from unpaid influencers. It all helps get even more people talking about the brand and has helped make Rhode one of the most talked about skincare brands online. So anytime Hailey Bieber hints at a new product, people go crazy. They go crazy. It spreads all across every social media platform, and fans of the brand are soon desperate to find out more about the product and when it's coming out. Then the official product reveal often takes things to the next level. This is where Rhode's regular use of drop culture comes in. After building a huge amount of buzz around a new product launch or limited edition shade, Rhode makes sure to only release a very small number of whatever that product is. Or at least in comparison to the amount of people who actually want that product. There's never enough. So the product sells out within days or even minutes. And then they have this massive waiting list of consumers wanting to get their hands on Rhode's products. And I don't like this. I think it's annoying. Like, just make more product. And I feel like we've seen this practice getting more and more popular in the last decade or so. And while a lot of people are understandably frustrated and tired of always having to wait to get their hands on a product or even missing out on it altogether, brands keep doing it because it works and it's annoying, but it does create this kind of like exclusive buzz around the brand. Now, people are talking about how quickly the product's being sold out and how big the waiting list is. Makes it go even more viral somehow. They go and watch reviews from the lucky ones that got their hands on the product so they could go and see how good it is. And again, people are talking about the product and Rhode even more, building anticipation for the next drop. And honestly, it's been an incredibly successful strategy for Rhode, helping to keep that kind of like little bit of mystique. Despite the brand's authenticity and transparency in other areas, it makes Rhode a brand that people want, that people get excited about, and it's clearly made the brand a lot of money. So looking at the road ahead, so those are the main factors I think that have made Rhode as successful as it has been in such a short space amount of time. Simple, effective products, a celebrity founder who seems authentic, social media and influencer marketing that outperforms brands with bigger budgets, and a somewhat controversial and annoying drop culture. But as many of you probably know, there have been some big changes in Rhode's ownership and its distribution channels very, very recently. And these changes could have a major impact on things that have made Rhode so successful. First of all, of course, that change in ownership. For those who don't know, Rhode was bought out by e.l.f. Beauty in May of 2025 in a deal that valued Rhode at $1 billion. And this has kind of led to a lot of speculation about whether Rhode will be able to stick to its philosophy now that a brand known more for a very different approach to beauty is in charge. e.l.f. is kind of founded on being the fast fashion version of makeup and skincare. It definitely helps that Hailey Bieber has stayed on as head of innovation and chief creative officer. She needs to, but it's understandably worrying to many fans of the brand, especially since e.l.f. has become known for releasing products, often dupes of other brands, at an almost ridiculously fast rate. As I mentioned, being the fast fashion of the beauty world, not something Rhode's philosophy really aligns with. And I wonder if e.l.f. are going to try and dupe Rhode. And some fans of the brand and just general consumers of the brand are even worried that Hailey will end up leaving at some point, either out of choice or because she's forced out by the new owners. To be clear, there's no indication of that happening, but Hailey Bieber is no longer in control to the same extent. And I feel like in previous videos, we've talked about this a lot. When a big conglomerate buys out a certain brand, the brand founders are often somehow made to leave. She may have the same roles as she previously did, but she has people above her to answer to now. But for their part, e.l.f. Beauty has stated that they have no intention of over integrating or changing Rhode, and instead they want to nurture the brand and continue to grow it by supporting the founder's vision, they said. And Bieber has been positive about the acquisition as well, describing e.l.f. Beauty as a founder's dream. As long as e.l.f. are happy to keep the two companies mostly separate, I would say, then it should be okay, right? But Rhode wouldn't be the first brand to be ruined by new ownership, as we know. Another major change for Rhode is the partnership with Sephora that came into effect really recently. The brand was finally available at Sephora online and in store in the US and Canada for the first time as of September 2025. But that's been a huge success for Rhode, with the brand making up 35% of Sephora sales on the day it launched and breaking Sephora's record with $15 million worth of sales on the first day. Rhode also launched in the UK Sephora stores with a similar level of hype, selling an estimated $10 million worth of products in the first 2 days. Dollars or pounds, I'm not sure. This makes it one of the most successful brand launches Sephora has basically ever had. But this move does hold potential problems for Rhode, as I think we're starting to see. As I've said, part of Rhode's popularity is down to the brand's perceived authenticity and close connection with their customers. This kind of thing works well when a brand is selling directly to customers through their own website, but it can easily get lost when they start selling through a major retailer like Sephora. They also potentially lose that exclusivity, the scarcity that their restricted product drops gave the brand, which led to that special feeling, like something consumers had to have because it was culturally relevant. Sephora isn't going to want shelves completely empty because Rhode are limiting the number of units available. They're not going to want that. That's not how it works in retail stores, especially with Sephora. And sure, this is a great thing for most consumers because it's easier to get hold of Rhode products now. Most people are buying their first Rhode products in years, but it's possible that loss of exclusivity makes Rhode less appealing in some way, and it slowly becomes less and less relevant. Potentially, there is one more major update that could signal a shift in Rhode's trajectory, and it comes straight from the Tribune.com. I don't know. According to new reporting from the Tribune, Rhode's performance under e.l.f. Beauty isn't quite matching early expectations. So market analysts expected Rhode to significantly boost e.l.f.'s fiscal year 2025 earnings. Instead, the first financial update has been, they say, more muted than anticipated. In a recent SEC filing, Rhode reported $40.2 million in sales for the quarter ending on June 2025, a figure that came in below market projections. And whilst the brand still posted strong gross and operating margins, which you mentioned earlier, which will help e.l.f.'s overall profitability in general, the slower than expected revenue apparently has weighed on investors' confidence, not quite meeting their expectations. Off the back of that report, e.l.f. Beauty's stock price fell by 7%, ending a 3-day upward streak. Now, analysts are now scaling back on their expectations for the acquisition's financial impact, and the deal was initially forecast to increase earnings of around $0.38 per share for fiscal year 25. I'm so sorry. I really struggle to talk about money. I can find it very confusing. But that unexpected dive in revenue and tariffs have kind of introduced a little bit of doubt around whether or not Rhode will deliver the boost that e.l.f. anticipated. But leadership seemed optimistic. e.l.f. CEO Tarang Amin reiterated his faith in Rhode as a brand, calling Rhode a very fast-growing brand and emphasizing high hopes for its expansion into Sephora. This isn't a disaster for Rhode, but it does mean it's the first meaningful sign that Rhode's hypergrowth may be entering a more complicated chapter, a more steady chapter, shall we say. That said, they're doing incredibly well at the moment. Still, for a new what was indie brand, and the recent changes had the potential to take the brand to even crazier levels of popularity. They've done so much right so far, and they've had a big impact on the industry, particularly when it comes to how skincare brands approach marketing. But what do you think? What do you think the future holds for Rhode, particularly in light of recent changes? Do you think they're less prestige now? Do you think the hype around them are going on a bit of like a downfall? Or is it just more growth for Rhode? Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Thank you for watching, and hopefully I will see you next time.